Jay Martasha of Wall to Go. Hello, Ray. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you're all doing well. God bless each and every one of you. So, we've got a very special guest tonight. Dr. Eoin Lenahan will be joining us live. He's got a brand new book out there, Vandalising Ireland. And from what I see online, it's going very well for him. It's been sold in shops, it's been dispatched worldwide, and it's all about the NGO corrupt system in Ireland. So we'll be bringing him on to discuss his book. And for those of you joining us and you're new to the show, my name is Niall McConnell. We live stream every Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays at 8 p.m, bringing you the truth, bringing you on really good guests like Dr. Eoin, telling you the truth about what's really happened in Ireland, because the fake news media like RTE, you know, they're not telling us the truth about what's really happening in Ireland, right? So why? The very least you can do is share these live streams with all your friends and family. And subscribe, follow, no matter where you're watching. We're live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So welcome to the show, everybody. So before we bring on Eoin, we're going to share a large prayer as Gaeliga. So please join me. Nanya Menahar agus Avek agus Spirit Neve, Amen. Arn Yahar Atar now. Go ní for Daniel, go dagda the rate, go nyanter the hall and talav mar yanter now. Ar nar na hul tur doing you, agus mai doing our fecta, mar a wai have made our fect in a fian, ag na lection a gahu, ag sir shin olg, Amen. Nanya Menahar agus Avek agus Spirit Neve, Amen. Okay, everybody, welcome to tonight's show. Thank you so much for joining me. So look, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. As I said already, welcome to the show. We go live every Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays at 8 p.m. So make sure you tune into all our live streams. Now, this is actually the launch of our brand new shop as well. Now, if I press this button here, does that work? Kind of. So look, that's our shop. No, hold on, that's not a very good one. No. Let me see. Press this button here, right? That's a better. Just before we bring on Eoin, we've got a brand new shop, new products, very well laid out. As you can see there, we've got all sorts of fantastic products. I'm trying to see my own ad here, what we're doing. We've got jackets, we've got books, we've got badges, we've got flags, we've got Ireland is full stickers, we've got Dr. Eoin's book, actually. Vandalising Ireland. Not only is his book available, it's a signed copy by Dr. Eoin Lenahan himself. So that's the book there. So click the link down below, no matter where you're watching, or click the link in my bio to get your book. Now, we've got different Catholic bundles. We've got Irish language bundles. What else have we got here in our shop? We've got yes, this is Irish nationalist and Irish history bundles. Padraig Pearse, Our Martyrs, Centuries of Trial history books. We've got Lenihan regatta waterproof jackets. So check out our store. Get Dr. Eoin Lenahan's book as well on our shop, and by supporting and buying from our shop, you're supporting our work. Boycott the likes of Amazon the best you can. You know, support Irish nationalist organizations, right? So that's the shop. Click the link in my bio, no matter where you're watching, and order from the shop now. You can get Dr. Eoin Lenahan's signed book. So let me get him lined up here now. I've got to press a buttons here. There we go. So without further ado, let's bring on the main man himself. Do you see me and hear me, Eoin?
I see you. I can hear you perfectly.
Good man yourself. So look, you've got a new book called Vandalising Ireland. Tell us, I suppose, what's it all about, and why should people be getting it for Christmas?
First of all, thank you for having it in your store there. The store looks fantastic. I had a look earlier, very professional job, and it's the only place you will be able to get it signed. So that's, I hope, something for people. But the book itself, anyway, it's essentially trying to unravel the mess that Ireland's in right now and how we got here. I traced back on the surface level the past 25 years of Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael misrule. And look at how this open borders society got out of control. But I look deeper also into how we got to the point where Fianna Fáil. Oh, the feedback there is a bit loud. Niall, would you?
Don't know why you're getting feedback.
That's great. That's perfect. That's great. Thanks, Niall. But yeah, what I tried to do then was to trace back the roots of to show that what's happening now in Ireland has been preordained since the late 50s, because since the 1950s at least, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have pursued the exact same economic models, this over-reliance on the foreign direct investment model. In addition to that, I look at how, from the start, the beginning of our state, actually, all social work and education was farmed out to the Catholic Church initially. And then after the stunning collapse of the church, or loss of faith people had in the church that came out with the various scandals in the early zeros, a very crucial step, as Catholic Church stepped out of the social care business, what we would now call the NGO industrial complex, maybe, that what swept in were a bunch of groups and people who were steeped in social justice theory. And so these two steps together, the coalescing of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael economically from the 1950s on, and then the hijacking of our NGO system by social justice theory from the zeros on, sees this incredible speeding up of the open border projects, the, seeing transing of our kids in education and whatnot. So to put it very briefly, that's kind of what I've tried to do, is not just look at where the mess we're in now, but how did we get here? And I also then, at the end, in the final chapter, tried to suggest ways out of it. You asked me why should people be picking up a copy of this? The reason I wrote this book was that, as you touched on in the introduction there, we have a major problem with we have many major problems, but one of the key ones is that we're a crippled democracy, because Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin are exactly the same party. It's a uniparty, and I go into that in the book. I go through their policies, how Sinn Féin have acted as a silent partner to Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael over the past 25 years. How come elections, their policy documents are the same? But I also... Sorry, I lost my trail of thought there for a second. I was looking down here at something, but sorry, why should they buy it? Was because another key member of that coalition is the media, the national media, that they have acted in concert with the government to sell their government agenda over the past 25 years. So why it's important, what my key motivation for writing this was, I saw during the last two election cycles how difficult it is for parties like yours to break through. You're not going to get an invite onto RTE News to discuss your policy platforms. And in fact, the system was very clearly rigged in the debates for local and national elections to keep new right-wing parties and new nationalist parties, or whatever you want to call whatever group, but to keep them out at all costs and off the news headlines. And the only time you do see them is with negative headlines surrounding things like maybe fires at iPass, or a burning police van up when there's a demonstration up in Dublin. And so what I figure we need to do was to get around the national media to reach the plus 65 demographic, who are Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael's key voter demo. And so that's the main purpose of this book, was to try and reach those demos who keep putting Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael back into power. The other another key motivation was to have a chronicle of these times, these crazy times, because you know it yourself from being on social media, that there are stories that pass us by every week that in normal times would be enough to bring down a government, but they get, because of the speed of the news cycle, they get forgotten. And I really wanted to put down just all of the crazy stuff that's happened here, because we forget, and I'm guilty of it, I forget too. And so I just wanted to be able to have a chronicle, a truth. Here is the truth of what's happening in this country. And B, my motivation was to try and get this in around the national media into the hands of the people who need it, who can affect change.
Right, very good. There's a famous a very popular video going around social media about I think it's like in the United Nations, and they're saying that for every Irish person there's an NGO. There seems to be like 35,000 NGOs in Ireland. I bet if you do a survey on the streets of Ireland, the majority of Irish people wouldn't even know what an NGO is. And I try to describe them as like a shadow government. Are they pushing policy in Ireland regarding what's going on in schools, regarding immigration, the long walks through institutions? What is going on with this NGO system in Ireland, and how do we stop it?
Well, you're right. I think that most people don't know just the roots, how deep it goes. But We have, as I said, from around 2000 on, that's when, you know, the Catholic Church really retreats from public life. And all of the various social work that they were doing now then gets taken up by civil society, they like to call it, but just NGOs. And most of these, as I go through in the book, are overwhelmingly funded by the state, but they pursue radical leftist political policies that are grounded and steeped in social justice theory. Now, there's a very important pipeline that goes from the Irish university system to the NGO system, whereby increasingly Irish universities, and I mentioned a couple of case studies, one being the Eoin Joseph, who teaches at Trinity and UCD on Black studies and critical race theory, which is just an import of the most radical leftist social justice theory from the US, trying to guilt students, in my opinion, into feeling ashamed of who they are and their history and their past, to try and browbeat them into political gains. So there has been a radical change in what an NGO is over the past 25 years. Now, it went out of control from 2020 when the Greens came into power with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. And one person who doesn't get a lot of the spotlight, we all know about Roderick O'Gorman and, you know, with his crazy 8-language tweet about inviting the whole world into Ireland. But his colleague, Joe O'Brien, doesn't get enough recognition in my opinion, and I write about him in this book. He was the principal architect behind the NAPAR, so the National Action Plan Against Racism. And to answer your question, this is the document that really shows the power of the NGOs in this country and how, like you said, they kind of really have their arms around every public branch in terms of policy. So anyway, Joe O'Brien, he came out of the Irish Immigrant Council. He was a member. He was a leader in the Irish Immigrant Council before he went into government. And now, since getting booted out of power, he's gone back to the Irish Council for Civil Liberties. So he's a dyed-in-the-wool NGO head. And when he came into power, the Greens, he put unbelievable amounts of money into the NGO sector and in kind and closer to government. So this NAPAR document, so Eoin Joseph, who is the woman who's leading this project, she's paid 100,000 over 4 years, and then they also handed out over €1 million in 50,000 euro lump sums to various NGOs. But some of the things in this document, it's very Orwellian in the first place, the National Action Plan Against Racism. It sounds great, right? Who could argue against that? But when you look down through what it is, it's extremely Orwellian. So Commission the Man, for example, who are the regulatory body for all media, they are partners, official partners in this, and they've committed to making sure that there's representation of minorities in all the various television shows, in public media. The Gardaí have committed to working with 15 specific NGOs to expedite any claims of racial hatred or LGBTQ hatred or what. So they've embedded at the heart of the state this document, speedy access to the NGO, to the social justice causes that the NGOs are pushing. But it gets worse. In this NGO document too, there's a 20%. So it's predicated heavily on the idea that Ireland is a racist state. This is Eoin Joseph's words. Ireland is a racist state, and we have to undo this, and the only way we can do this is through positive discrimination. So that document states that we need a 20% increase in minorities in public positions. So we now are enforcing through this document positive discrimination to have more minorities in our civil service, which is absolute insanity. Even the US, the bluest areas of the US where they tried this stuff, couldn't push stuff like that through. And then, as you pointed out, where it's having a very profound impact is in education. So again, all educational institutions are linked to this document and are forced to embed the principles of this document. And that's why we're seeing this flaring up of, family A, family B, this hatred of the Irish family unit and our history and identity, and also the implementation of queer theory and other radical leftist ideas in primary and secondary school classrooms.
But why is this, and how has this been allowed to be implemented? This is huge. This is like the long walk through institutions, and it's pretty much an American thing with it's called affirmative action in America, where like the police officers at high ranking positions in the government and civil service, they all have to hire like 33% ethnic minorities and white people. No, it's not about let's bring in the best for the job. No, we got to bring in a certain percentage of migrant workers, and the same things happen in Ireland. Like you hear Leo Varadkar saying that the civil servants are too white, the Gardaí are too white, the teachers are too white. This is, people really need to wake up to what's going on here. This is, they're looking for power, and I guarantee you they'll be pushing for more ethnic minorities in political power as well. This is a power grab.
Of course.
You
They
know,
already pushed it for women, right? With parity in 50-50. They wanted parity of male to female in political parties. So it's obvious they'll do the same for minorities. I would agree with you.
Wow. So the book we're discussing here tonight by Eoin Lenahan, who you can see on the screen, his book is available on our shop. And not only is it available, it's a signed copy by him himself. So you can get the book down below this video or click the link in my bio, no matter where you're watching. Get a signed copy now. Support our work and support Dr. Eoin Lenahan's work as well. Look, what else is in this book that we need to be discussing here, Eoin?
Well, what you said there was the key question, really. What you asked there, you said, how is this happening, basically? You know, how can this happen? How can it happen so quickly and thoroughly? Well, aside from, I think it's clear at this point that universities are just increasingly radical hotbeds of churning out activists steeped in social justice theory. That normally wouldn't matter, and it didn't matter in other countries, whereas it's gone where it does matter here. And so the key for me is that there is no right-wing alternative. You see, all the parties in Ireland, don't mind what they'll say, don't mind what they'll tell you, just look at their record. Every party in Ireland ranges from centre left to extreme left. There is no centrist or right party in Ireland. And so that, I think, is what makes us completely different from the rest of the Western world, is that we've never had an established right-wing party, or at least one that could affect change or have a bearing on the power dynamics there. So Sinn Féin, for example, if you look through their policy documents, and I do go through them for 20 and 25, their offerings are essentially the exact same as Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. They're all essentially one party. You know, we hear this often, but if you look at the data, it's true. If you look at their offerings, it's true. So if it comes up to an election, they're all offering slight variations on the same themes. Where if Fianna Fáil offers 1,500 hospital beds per year extra, Fine Gael will offer 1,600. Sinn Féin will say, we're big socialists, we'll offer 1,700, that kind of a thing. You know, there are only minor variations on the same policy. So they're all offering the same product. And the only difference being that Sinn Féin are slightly more radical. So what's happened over the past 10 years is the Sinn Féin have been able to pull Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael ever more left, along with the other micro parties on the left. But there has been nothing to anchor or keep Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael in the centre. There's been no right wing. And of course, the big problem in all this, and what's prevented this development of the right, has been the outright purchasing of the national media, and that to me is the other big problem. And they're connected. We can't, we can, but it's very difficult to have a right-wing party, or whatever you want to call it, right-wing, conservative, populist, nationalist, whatever it's going to be, whoever wins that battle on the right, that can't win when we have a media landscape that's in the pocket of the government. Because the point of a national media is to protect democracy, to hold the powerful to account, to criticize, critique, investigate, and to ensure a balance of views and opinions. But that has long disappeared in Ireland. It's been shocking, the decline in the national media from 2000, say, even to now. And again, in the book, now you'll know this, Niall, so I'll be boring you with this, but I go into detail, maybe for some of your listeners who mightn't know, I go into detail on how the national media has been bought off. And you know, again, these are things that we say casually maybe on social media, but it's important to take the time to prove it. And that's what I'm doing with this book. I'm really digging into all the data and providing a factual account of all of these claims. So, for example, there's 3 media corporations in Ireland. That's the Media Huis, based in the Netherlands. There's the Irish Times Trust, which owns the Examiner and a plethora of smaller regional papers. And then there's the boys out in England that own the radio stations. So there's Media Whois, there's Irish Times, and there's Bauer. I nearly forgot it. I'm slipping. But the three of those own essentially the entire national media landscape in Ireland. And what's happened is they completely overextended themselves in acquiring those, because Ireland's a small country. And so to purchase all of these various bits of media landscape, they have put themselves at incredible financial strain, to the point where they rarely turn a profit. They're lucky if they break even, and usually they're making a big loss year on year. And so what's happened is that the government understand this, they sense this, and in a normal country, you see, you'd let the market sort itself out. One or two of those would collapse, other ones would spring up, and that's what allows intellectual diversity, because the audience decides what they want. But the government understand that it's actually much better to prop them up. Don't give them too much money, but just enough to survive. And that's what they've been doing. The government has consistently been the largest advertiser in all of these national media outlets over the past number of years. They've reduced the VAT on newspapers to 0% to again prop them up. The number one job any politics journalist in the country can have is to become an advisor to the government. Increasingly, this is a very lucrative outlet. So again, what politics journalist or investigative journalist is going to burn his bridges with his big job working for Micheál Martin or Simon Harris? Harris and Martin both spend €1 million a year on these special advisors who are disproportionately drawn from the media. And then the last big plank of how they've bought out the media is Comisiún na Man. So Comisiún na Man, aside from being the censorship arm of the state, they offer out every year, and it's increasingly more and more year on year, a series of grants which essentially just are given to any company, any radio, TV or newspaper who will produce programs that prop up the government agenda, who will offer positive stories and documentaries and such on immigration, on LGBTQ stories, and so on. And so these are the ways that it's quite literally, you know, we like to say that the media is bought off in Ireland. It literally is. And I take, that's what this book, again, you asked me why should people get this book? Because I take the time to give people the facts and data they need to hand when they make these arguments themselves.
Very good. And what's the response with the book? I've got good feedback, bad feedback. How's that all going?
It's been unbelievable. I was shocked by, first of all, the level of, first of all, it just took off. It's been at number one on Amazon in all books for a month. Now it dropped off yesterday for the first time, but I held out for a month at number one in all books. I was delighted. But then also it was on the national charts, and this will tell you how well it performed. So the national charts is all of your online sales, so Amazon plus bookstore sales. I had no bookstore sales because I couldn't publish this book in Ireland. I had to go to America to a small Christian company to get it published. And so I couldn't get it delivered into any bookshops, but I still managed to hit number one in the nonfiction for 1 week based only on the Amazon sales. That's how well it's gone. And I'm delighted with it because it went number 2, number 1, number 3, and this week number 6 in those charts. But all those charts have to be published, you see, in the Irish Times and the Sunday Times and Sunday Independent. So while the book is ripping them, they have to publish the charts to show. And obviously, I've had 0 calls from any national media outlets. It's been completely ignored. It's been completely suppressed. Not only is it very difficult, it's a closed shop to get it into bookshops in Ireland, but it's very clearly being ignored by the national media. It's again, what I love though is that it sparked a passion with the followers, my network and others. In particular, it's really hit a chord with Irish diaspora, by which I mean Irish people born in Ireland who went abroad, in specifically because they're angry that they were kicked out and they had to go. And a lot of them wrote to me privately to say that they were just happy somebody wrote this. It's been. I wanted to get out of the bubble. Like I said, that the key thing was that I knew anyone who supported my work would read it and be happy, because one thing I noticed during COVID, for example, was the big breakthrough in COVID with marches and things like that I covered in Germany, was that people for the first time felt they weren't alone. So the government had very successfully made people feel isolated and alone, in the media as well during COVID, that if you were against some of the measures being undertaken, you were somehow crazy, or you were somehow, you know, a conspiracy theorist or whatever. And then these marches, when people showed up together and saw, oh, wait a minute, there's a lot of us. Well, I think that's what that book did for a lot of the people in my network. They really felt heard, because their opinions aren't ever voiced in the national media or any politics show. And, you know, we talk, like, say, on social media, but there's something different about having it written down there in a book, you know, that, and again, a book you can hand to other people that, like family members who maybe dismissed you, or who kind of were called, are friends you might have lost because of your political beliefs. You can hand them a book and not get into a shouting match. And so a lot of people responded on that level too. But like I said, the key driving force for doing this book is to reach around the media firewall, to reach around and try and reach the people outside of the bubble. It started to happen. I've managed to make a few breakthroughs. I had a talk there with, I did a chat with Niall Boylan. His podcast reached a lot of people. I had people from back home who, you know, I wouldn't have a lot in common with politically reach out to me and say, oh, wow, you're great on that show, or, you know, the book, I'm going to get a copy. And I did the Clare Champion, for example, is going to run a piece next week. And that's what I'm focusing on now. So the first run was supporters, and I would say people in our scene maybe who were just really excited and who wanted to pass this on, and really were just driven like a mission. You know, it was so exciting. People were really mission driven. They were saying, yeah, let's get it and put it in the hands of mother, father, cousin, whoever, you know, needs to read this book. But what I've been doing quietly ever since is really contacting all these various media outlets, contacting every independent bookstore in the country, trying to get it stocked. It's being stocked in a couple of bookshops now, I'm happy to say, around the country. So a couple were brave, and that's got to be the next step. And that's my key focus, is how can I reach more behind the wall, you know, because otherwise it's, in terms of impact and longevity, I have to reach those people. So that's something I would say to your listeners here. Anyone who buys this, although they might want to hand it on because if it's signed, they might want to have it for themselves. But if they buy the book, make sure to hand it on to somebody who maybe didn't give them a fair hearing in the past few years. Maybe somebody that they just know is voting Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael or Sinn Féin because their father did it and his father did it and their father did. That I would say read it, hopefully be inspired by it, and then put it in the hands of somebody who needs to read it. And I think that we're not going to get a lot of fair play from the national media, so it's going to have to be grassroots. I'll keep plugging away, of course. I'll keep contacting people, but word of mouth and just putting that in somebody else's hand is how this is going to spread, and it's how it has spread so far. That's what's been super exciting about it.
Very, very good. So, look, I suppose on my shows, we discuss immigration, mostly what's happening in Ireland. What can you tell my listeners in your book, or from your book, how do you discuss immigration regarding NGOs? Because everyone on my show will be very interested in that.
Well, the key thing, I would say that we need to put pressure on. So there's a couple of ways of going around this. So if you want to get practical about it, one thing I advocate for, and people often misunderstand or misread or don't get the strategy here maybe, is that while you're building a nationalist movement, while we're building to get into power in 2029, you need to keep putting pressure on those who are in power. And that's something I do a lot of. I try to draw attention of, you know, you have AN2, you have Independent Ireland, you have various independents, you have whoever you feel comfortable approaching. You need to be, in my opinion, contacting them, emailing them, doing whatever to push them to table motions such as defunding the NGOs. We need to be able to do that. Again, this book is a perfect blueprint, and I know it has been read by several TDs actually. And so this is a book that can identify very clearly who are the SJWs, say, you know, social justice theory infused NGOs, who are the ones who are taking the taxpayer for a ride, and who are the ones, say like the Immigrant Council of Ireland, for example, they they're all overwhelmingly funded by taxpayer money, by the state. So what we could do in the short term is pressure TDs to bring bills to defund these. Even if it isn't working in the short term, it's creating the conversation, it's creating the culture to make that happen maybe when there is a breakthrough come 2029. You know, it's all about laying what groundwork you can while building for the future. That's one thing I would say. But the key thing is that we've seen that these people do listen to social media. Like Helen McEntee was just the worst justice minister in the history of the state. You know, a lot of this comes back on, we can blame the NGOs, and I do, for a lot of what we see happening. I don't know if you saw there last year when Charlie Flanagan retired from Fine Gael, he said, he was a backbencher for Fine Gael, but he said when he retired, he would have had more impact on government matters had he been a middle-ranking manager or official in an NGO than he did as a backbencher. So like that shows you that, yes, our democracy is profoundly undermined by the NGOs, that they are a wedge between the government and the people. But we have seen that social media is a powerful tool to get these people to stand up and listen. We've seen that from the marches around Ireland. We've seen that from the various protests outside IPAS centres, and we've seen that from the recent presidential election as well, that there is an increasing groundswell of anti-establishment sentiment, and there's a lot of podcasts like yours, your show, and a lot of other places, Derek Domino, who I was on, and other places who are doing great work that can bring people together now to create a tipping point and a mass. And what I would say is that we need to continue to do that, because Helen McEntee, who they were grooming to be the next Taoiseach, essentially, her stock is an all-time low now, and that is because of social media. So again, the under her guise, you asked me about immigration and how, so how can we affect that? Well, so under Helen McEntee, 8,975 immigrants came in to Dublin Airport in 2022 and 2023 with no documents, and in one case was there a prosecution. You know, so in that case, Carol Nolan took her to task on the floor, as did Michael McNamara, who's now out in the EU. Again, these mightn't be your preferred candidates, they mightn't be whatever, but the pressure that was exerted on them and the clap on the back that they got, particularly Carol Nolan, for standing up and saying these things on the Dáil floor, certainly led to a demise in her fortunes. She's now untouchable, and they shuffled her off to education, where would be a big demotion from justice, say. So again, all of this comes from being strategic. I think that sometimes on social media in particular, people are so angry, correctly angry, rightly angry. We're all, the country's in dire straits, but we have to be able to be strategic. Is there a nationalist party in power right now? No. Can they build to get into power in 2029? Yes, and that's what they need to be spending every moment of every day doing. And in the meantime, see who you can build bridges with, see who you can clap on the back to go and do something, see who you can maybe needle a bit to get them to do what you want to do, and that's about all we can do right now. And then we have to rely on people like yourself, keeping the word going out, waking up more people day by day. My book hopefully getting into the hands of more people who can be woken up. We have to keep pushing for that tipping point in every way we can. But we also then have to understand that until 2029, we have the system we have. And we can just say, F all of you, which is understandable, or we can say, how can we use all of you? How can we get the best for our goals in the meantime, even if it's just slowing down the mess so there's something to actually save in 2029.
Good man yourself, Eoin. So the book of discussion is called Vandalising Ireland by the man in question here, Dr. Eoin Lenahan. You can get your signed copy, the only place I think you can get a signed copy, in our shop. Click the link in my bio or click the link below. Get your copy now. We'd really appreciate it. Support Eoin, support our work. So look, I just thought of a question there in my head. Look, if you were to write another book now, a sequel, what would that be about? After all the research you've done and what you've learned, what would the second book be about?
That's funny because I was asking myself the same thing. I was saying to my wife last night, well, what do I do now? Just put up a gun fishing sign and disappear, or what? Like, have I said everything I need to say? And so what I've done though in that book was I've laid out in the last chapter goals to go forward. I've given a blueprint for anyone who wants to take them, run with them, do whatever, please use them. For any politicians who are emerging, to run with. And if anyone wanted help with that, that's an area that I would be happy to go into. But a book you asked specifically. One of the things I talk about in the book is the need to build a cultural movement. I think we've lost a sense of identity in who we are. If you look at particularly left-wingers in Ireland, these are people who, they just use American talking points. They're fighting American culture war. The education they receive, as I say, social justice theory, is based and steeped in American case studies and stereotypes. So I think what we need to do is to build a proud and cultural movement based on an absolute love of our country, which I think we've lost. I think we need to center it in the archaeological and historical landscapes. I think we need to have a folk revival, cultural revival. What happened, I think, was that we kind of got comfortable sitting back on the early 1920s or the early 1900s kind of sense of national identity. And what happened was, as we drifted more and more from that time, Celtic Tiger so hit, people became obsessed with money. We kind of took for granted that we still had that. And when the crash came along, people kind of took a psychological hit and were looking around saying, oh, wait a minute, who are we and what have we? I think it's time just to reaffirm those things. I think it's time to reaffirm our identity. I see that when I see Micheál Martin standing at the Famine Museum in Strokestown and he's talking about importing many, many Ukrainians. I see that when I see Simon Harris stand at Bale na Blah, and again he attacks phantom far right, and again he's basically using our culture, our history, and our archaeological landscapes as a pulpit for replacing the Irish and Irish culture, heritage, and identity. And the same when Leo Varadkar stands out in Boston, a historic Irish town, Irish American town, and again he's talking about how in a famous speech there 3 years ago for St. Patrick's Day, he's talking about how St. Patrick was an immigrant and he brought scary ideas, and they all abuse our history, identity, and culture for their globalist agenda. And I would say we need to start taking that back. One of the things I really enjoyed seeing this year was the Misha Era Festival. That's a great start. It provides a meeting place for people to talk, to connect with each other. It puts a focus on culture, folklore, sharing ideas, but we need to see more of them all around the country. What I would love to see, and I talk about this in the book, is the Hungarians and Romanians have done a terrific job of, in every summer they'll have a party summer camp where they'll go away to a certain important area and they'll have festivals, they'll have ideas, I think that we should be having these kind of events at near the Hill of Tara, by Bale na Blah, by Strokestown, taking these landscapes back from these globalists who are just using them as props while they sell us out. I think that we need to build a grassroots cultural movement that instills this pride in who we are and reminds us and gives the young people something to hold on to, something to cling on to, that prevents them from going off in the direction of Sinn Féin.
100%. Eoin, so look, we've had a good chat here now. The book is available in our shop, everybody. Get a signed copy of Dr. Eoin Lenahan's book down below this video, or click the link in my bio. Order now. Support our work, support Eoin's work. Is there anything else now you'd like to add before we let you go? I would just say, you do a lot of work in this this direction yourself. Actually, I would hope that somebody like yourself will take up the torch in maybe reaching out in these cultural areas as well. I know that you're somebody who has a terrific respect for Irish culture and folklore. I know that you've even stocked, you said, some of my dad's books as storytellers books and all in the past. You're again a man now who, especially up there in Donegal,
this is the reason I was very interested in talking to you, is because Donegal, I can't think of another county who has been more impacted by the mass migration project and the IPAS scams than Donegal. And so I would hope that, first of all, I come on to do anything I can to support you up there, because you are in a bad way. But I would hope that you would continue to do the work you're doing and step out and maybe branch out like that into cultural avenues as well, you know, because I think it can be a very positive way to bring people together, communities together. And that, of course, lays the building blocks in for when it comes election time, that you're going to have strong connections in those communities that's one of the problems I spotted, you know, with the elections the last two times out, was that a lot of the lads who were running, you see, they had no profile outside of the internet, you know, and so when they would go up to doors and whatnot, they just weren't recognizable. And so I think you've already you're in a good position there, because you do get out and about, you know, you're not just some dude in behind, you know, on the computer, that you're out and you've built a lot of connections there. And I'm kind of interested to see how you'll continue to develop that. And I'm hoping, having read the book, that, you know, maybe you'll get an idea or two, and some of the lads up there who are doing great work with you as well will.
100%, Owen. Thanks very much for coming on. Look, hopefully the book continues to sell well and you do good. And if you know you've, I suppose, another book coming out in the future, let me know, and we'll hopefully stock that as well. And maybe we'll have you.
I dodged your question about what the next book will be. I shouldn't have brought it up, but I did that. Somebody told me I should do Vandalising Europe to go about, take it to the next level up. But I think actually what I would rather do is maybe write a book on Irish folklore and mythology or something like that, that's where my natural interest would be. I talk a lot in the book about this need for sparking cultural revival, and that would be my natural interest. I would love to write something like that. That's the answer to your question.
Well, you've no better mentor than your father.
Yeah, that's for sure, you know. I mean, it's the family business.
Good man, all right.
Somebody has to take over for him. He's getting old.
He's no spring chicken, I suppose, now, is he?
He's not, no. No.
Right on. Good man. Thanks very much for coming on. We'll speak to you again soon.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Good man. Bye. Okay, everybody, that was Dr. Eoin Lenahan. Good man. Eoin, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it, for giving us your time. So the book ends question, everybody. Let me see now. Can I bring this? What button do I press here? I don't know which one to press. That one there, no, not that one. Why is it? I don't know which one to press. Or hold on. Not that one, no. No, it's not that one. I don't think I have the right one done up. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's grand. So look, thanks for coming on, Owen. Let me know. Look, should really went to the live chat. I keep forgetting to do that when I have a guest on the show, to go to the live chat. So if you want to get his book, the book is in the description, in the live chat, or in my bio, no matter where you're watching, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, etc., etc. Get the book now. Support our work and support Dr. Eoin Lenahan's work. So what's the crack with you, everybody? How's your Sunday going? Any news? So I suppose, look, we've a brand new shop as well, though. Here's the shop. There's the shop there. What have we got in store for you? We've got lots of great books. We got different bundles. We've got the regatta jackets. We've got Ireland is Full stickers. We've got the book we wrote ourselves. That's our own book, Handbook for the New Fenian. What it means to be an Irish nationalist. That's Dr. Eoin Lenahan's book there, the fellow we just had on, Vandalising Ireland. Get your signed copy now. This is our Catholic collection, and the Catechism, the Holy Bible, a fasting book, Irish language books, Irish language collections. All these things are in our shop. Support our work now. What else have we got here for store for you? We've actually got the butcher box as well. I suppose, let me see here now. If I press this button here, is it this one here, is it? So let me see here now. See, I don't display capture, is that right? Hold on, I'm on here. Look. Press this button here. Display capture. It's locked at the minute. Press this button here. Press this button here. Hold on a minute. There we go. Where? Right, okay, that should be a bit better there, isn't it? Let me just make this a wee bit bigger here. So why? Butcher box is delivered to your front door. Donegal's finest meat, lamb, beef, pork. Let me just maximize this a wee bit here. That should be the job there. Hold on. Sorry, everybody. Should have done this beforehand, but I don't know. I seem to have lost my button. It is. Grand. So this is a brand new shop, right? So we can get beef boxes, lamb boxes, pork boxes delivered to your front door anywhere on the island of Ireland and England, Scotland, Wales. So if you order in now, you will get your box this coming Wednesday or Thursday. Roughly depends when you depends on how quick the postage is. We sell it in really high quality cooling system boxes with frozen gel packs. Keeps everything cold and fresh. Keeps everything chilled. So let me go to the shop here now quickly. What have we got here for you? Dr. Eoin Lenahan's book, Handbook for the New Fenian, Gael and Glory bundles. We've got Prayers of the Gael, Irish history books, leather Bibles, Irish faith and freedom bundles, Irish religious collections. What else have we got here? The Irish Regatta, Irish Lenahan jackets, beef boxes, butcher boxes. What else have we got here? We got badges, flags, jackets, stickers. We've got it all. So check out our shop. Get your Christmas gifts now as well. Support our work. We got the definitive guide to Catholic fasting and abstinence. The Catechism Explained. This is a really good book, actually. Dissolving Illusions. Written by Suzanne Humphreys, an in-depth book on vaccines and the dangers of them. Very, very good book. The Broken Heart by Thomas McSheoman. Brown Scapulars that are blessed, Douay-Rheims, Holy Bibles, paper and leatherback. So we've got lots of great stuff there. Irish language books as well. Patrick Pearse is writing, the Irish Patriot newspaper, and Meeting the Crowd, Eddie Lenahan. We're actually selling Eoin Lenahan's father's book there. So that's the job there, everybody. So check out our shop. Link is in the description. Someone says ban me. All right, okay. Banned there now. You don't have to ask twice. I'll ban you, no problem. Okay. Renum says it's a well-curated collection for sure. Good man, Renum. Thanks for moderating. Sean Mack, thank you for moderating. Sharon, good to see you. Who else is in there? Dan Brain, good man yourself. You should sell shillelagh walking sticks. It's a good idea. Kieran, good to see you. So welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Nelly McConnell, the leader of Shield Nahairn. We are Ireland's fastest growing Christian nationalist movement, the whole island of Ireland. You can join our political movement from anywhere in the world, Ireland, UK, Canada, America, Australia. So you can join as a member from anywhere in the world. This is the membership pack you will receive as a standard member. We have two membership tiers, standard and gold membership tiers. This is the Who We Are booklet. You get the framed proclamation. You will also get the Irish tricolour flag in your membership pack, and you get the membership card. All these things are a part of the membership pack. Join from anywhere in the world. Click the link in my bio to join as a member now, or click the link down below. Support our work, get involved, and join our community. Look, everybody, that's it for me tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. Well done, and thanks to Eoin for coming on our show. Very, very grateful. I'll leave it there, everybody. God bless you all. Aaron go bravo.